welcome along to Obviously Fight Talk episode 30, brought to you as always by MMAMix.com. If you want the best in MMA action, be it UFC, be it Bellator, check out MMA Mix. They're obviously good because they're with Obviously Fight Talk. Also, in association with our recording studio that unfortunately we're not at again today, but we will be back soon, and we do miss you. Whiskey Fair and Dunleary. If you want a good pint, if you want good grub, check them out and tell them the lads from Obviously Fight Talk sent you. So this week I'm joined as always by #WinDecision, Mr. Rob Palin.
What's up, man?
And we've got big crazy Carl Doran back.
What's the crack, lads?
Dan Mulcahy is away. He goes on more trips than Thomas Cook. But Mr. Mulcahy's not with us this week, but I'm sure Dan will catch up with us next week. And I'm Noel, so here we go. Obviously Fight Talk. So a rundown for episode 30 this week. We have the Obviously Fight Talk quickfire news as always. We'll then be breaking down the UFC Fight Night 92 that took place last night. We'll be breaking it down, giving your opinions on the fights and what's next maybe for the guys and girl winners, I suppose. Then we'll be looking at UFC 204. It's due to be in Manchester, and it's come out that this is going to be run with American pay-per-view times. So, as in, basically to break it down for us, it means you'll be going to the MEN Arena at 1 a.m. in Manchester. So that's a little different. I dropped my phone, excuse me for watching. But yeah, so it'll be a little different for if you are basically sitting in Manchester going to the show at 1 o'clock. It's a bit odd. Then we'll talk about Brock Lesnar's test was not requested before UFC 200 by USADA. They can request it, so we'll be talking about that. And then we'll be going into the new rules in MMA that have come into action. But before we do all that, gents, just a quick catch-up. How are you all keeping? All good?
I'm very hungover today. Very hungover. So, I might talk even more shit than usual. So just prepare yourself.
Yeah. I'm good. Carl does sound hungover, I have to say. I haven't talked to him in a few days, and he sounds rough. He sounds like an older man at this point. But it's good to have you back, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely, sir. So here we go. Obviously Fight Talk and your quick fire news. So BAMA have updated and added to their next event taking place in Dublin's Tree Arena on September the 10th with some cracking fights. Richie Smullen takes on Andrew Murphy. You see Paul Redzer gets a new opponent in Chris Stringer. But also BAMA 26 news, Kiefer Crosby has had to pull out due to injury and no word as of yet on a replacement for McColgan. So lads, just briefly speaking about this, we speak about BAMA all the time when they're coming around to us. Again, you can see putting on great fights again. It's good to see Redzer getting his first matchup. I spoke to Paul in Cage at the last BAMA Dublin show, so he's pretty excited, and I'm looking ripped by the way is Redzer. Just following Andy Ryan on the Snapchat and all that malark, you can see the lads doing the training. But again, more quality fights added to the card. Unfortunately, with Kiefer having to pull out. But what do we think of these, gents?
Yeah, some good fights. I'm glad that Paul got a fight there, because it would have been sad after all that time kind of waiting for this card to come around with the delays and with the rescheduling that, it could have dropped out. That would have been a shame, because he's probably at this point one of the biggest names in Irish MMA outside the UFC. So I think that he's going to drive some people to get to BAMA. The good to see Smullen on the card. Yeah, so it's good all around. I love the way BAMA have come over, and they're basically the, I suppose, big local show in a way in Ireland at this point, because they're coming every couple of months now, and it's the place where a lot of the Irish guys are getting a chance to kind of show their skills at a big level, where everybody around the world can watch. Because unfortunately, the local shows here in Ireland, not many can see. You don't really have them recorded. They're not on TV. They're just proper, regional shows like in the US. But the difference over here is you don't get them on TV. So it's good to see. I can't wait for it.
Yeah,
definitely. Go ahead, Carl.
I'm looking forward to going to the show myself. It should be good. It should be good crack. Last time I went to it, the O2 was absolutely fantastic. So every time BAMA comes over here, when they're doing the big event, that's something that I look forward to. That's here on a local scene for me. That's my fucking WrestleMania. You know what I mean? If it's not the UFC outside of that, but I can't wait to see that card. It should be very good.
Yeah, and again, I would advise you all to go onto Bama.com just to check them out and see the fights and get all your ticket information there, because there's no doubt it will be a sellout show again in the Three Arena.
2 minutes.
So that's a 2 minute beep. We're gone. So up we get. Next up we have Michael Bisping, which we're going to speak about this a little bit, but Michael Bisping is set to defend his middleweight title in Manchester against Dan Henderson. If you have to believe Bisping himself, who broke this on a radio show on Thursday, Bisping stated Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping for the 185-pound middleweight title, October the 8th from Manchester, live and pay-per-view. Do not miss it. So what do we think? We've spoken about this, Rob. You love the fairy tale of Dan Henderson getting a shot and stuff like that. So are we on board? Do we want to see the title fight? Is it the right fight for Bisping defending his belt for the first time?
I don't think I said I liked it. I said that I thought the UFC probably would have done it, but I'm not really on board with the fight. I think it's kind of a silly fight. Like, I would have liked to see the rematch if it wasn't for a title. But like, as much as I love Dan Henderson, he's one of like my favorite fighters of all time. He's been around forever, and he's amazing to watch. He has had some like legendary fights in MMA, but like a title shot, really, like it's not that deserved. Like, I suppose if you look at his whole career, you're gonna say, oh well, Dan Henderson, like, he deserves a title shot maybe. But like, looking at his last couple of fights, he had some good wins, but I don't know. The only good thing about it is it's in England, so if you're in Ireland now, you can go over and watch that. You're gonna see a title fight close to home. You don't get that very much, but it's a bit of a strange fight. But he can win. It's the strange thing. He can win the fight, like.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, though, as well, Henderson has already said that if he was to win or if he loses, he's gone, he's done. The gloves are getting hung up, so
maybe.
Weird.
Yeah, like, as for the fight itself, it's a nothing fight. It's similar to Conor and Nate. Like, it doesn't really. There's no point in it, in my opinion. But like, for both fighters, it makes sense. For Dan, if he wins, he gets his first UFC title. That's amazing. And then Bisping, this is a good money fight for him, and he gets the fight in Manchester. So, yeah, it's a good fight for both fighters. As for me as a fan, I really couldn't care about the fight, to be honest. I'll watch it, of course, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense business-wise. No.
Yeah, well, again, I think it's getting Bisping to defend his title, isn't it? And it is getting Bisping to defend his title in front of a UK audience. He's never lost in the UK. He's always wanted that revenge match. So he's been a company man his whole career. So maybe he should get it. Boom, 2 minutes. So the UFC's popular series looking for a fight with Dana White, Matt Serra and Nick the Toot has been picked up by Netflix. The series has previously aired on both YouTube and Fight Pass. Reports say that Netflix have purchased a total of 16 episodes. So do we think this is a good move for the UFC and Netflix? I suppose Netflix is worldwide as well. I know obviously Fight Pass is and stuff like that as well. But again, I love I love the format they're looking for a fight. I like seeing them. Nick the Toot's crazy. Matt Serra's funny. And it's just funny seeing it. But weird move, but I think a good move. And I think it could lead to other shows, the likes of original shows like that they do on Fight Pass leading on to Netflix as well. So for me, I'll give it a thumbs up. I think it's a good idea. And it's like everything. It's like if someone was to share air stuff. Obviously, Fight Talk, someone starts retweeting or sharing air stuff on their page. Stuff like that. The more people share it, the more people are going to see it. So I think it's a good move for the sport of mixed martial arts as well.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail right on the head there, Noel. Like, the UFC, as for that show itself, looking for a fight, I don't really watch it, but ultimately, by Netflix picking that up, it's the sport's already mainstream, but it's just going to push it further into that mainstream. If you look at how many people are on Netflix that have never watched a UFC event or even an MMA fight, I'm sure there's a lot. And now, this is potentially popping up in their feed, and you'll just see those letters UFC looking for a fight. It just makes sense. It's another area to promote your organization. Like, as you said, with your podcast, you want to get it in as many places as you can, and that's what the UFC are doing now. So yeah,
it's like simple marketing, simple. I suppose what everybody does, like you syndicate your shit as much as possible in as many places as possible. And like Netflix, it's a great tool. I use Netflix almost every day, and you're gonna get these casual fans which are gonna come across, like the new and noteworthy or whatever you want to call it, like news things at Netflix. And then so I think it's a good idea. I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't go for it, because they had it on YouTube. People will find it through YouTube, but like Netflix is more of a, you'd probably catch more casuals with Netflix, I think. Yeah, it's a good idea. That's your 2 minutes.
Definitely perfect. So that's your obviously Fight Talk quick fire news for this week. So we poked around and re-edited the show. Obviously you don't know that if you're just listening, but we changed it around because we just thought some of the stuff we're going to talk about in the news was worthy of proper discussion in a sense. So lads, let's talk about the fights last night. I didn't get to watch them until today. I'm not blaming Virgin Media at all for removing BT, so I couldn't watch it live. But yeah, I am blaming them. Fuck you, Virgin. But yeah, so the good night fights last night. Fight night. I always enjoy fight nights, apart from the ridiculous amounts of advertisement put in between fights.
Yeah.
So let's go from where we picked. So we went from the Morose Taylor bout was the first bout for us in our picks. Carl didn't get his picks in this week, so there has to be some sort of punishment involved. I believe in this. But we've all watched them, so...
please don't anal rape me. I won't like that.
So first fight of the evening, what do we think of it? Did we all manage to stay awake for it, or how did you get on with the Morose Taylor fight?
Carl go, because Carl had a bit of a rant.
No, go on.
Okay. It was meh. Like it wasn't a great fight. Morose tried to engage, but she couldn't land. And then when she did land, there wasn't much in it. I think she kind of won it by the skin of her teeth. Like, not by the skin of her teeth. I think she clearly won the fight. But Taylor done a good job of moving. But the only problem with her moving was she wasn't really countering or anything. She was just kind of getting away from all the shots. So it was kind of a bit of a stalemate. When Taylor did land, you could see she did have quite a lot of power for that division. And I do think that if she can, I think Brian Stan said that if she can work with somebody like a Dominic Cruz who can teach her how to kind of counter off that movement, because her movement was really good, even her head movement. She wasn't getting hit a lot, which was like displayed by the striking stats. Now I think you have to also say to Morose that she, some of her strikes, it looks like they were just throwing them out there just to kind of, I suppose, make the judges see the strikes, but they weren't actually landing. But yeah, like I think Morose still has like plenty of room to grow. I did like watching our fights, our previous fights. I don't think this has done anything to kind of up our stock, especially against a girl who kind of come in, on short notice. Yeah, so yeah, it was. I think it was, especially if you were going to stay up all night to watch the fights. Now I did watch them today as well, so it wasn't as difficult for me to get through it. There was some decent stuff in it, but not a lot. But if you stayed up all night, I'd say it was a difficult watch because not an awful lot happened in the fight.
Yeah, like when I was watching it, a couple of things I picked up on watching it is the attendance looks terrible at it, by the way, as well. But Herb Dean, all I could hear Herb Dean repeatedly say was engage. And I wanted to put that to Dan, that potentially can a referee dock points or take a point for failing to engage or to come to fight like
this happens.
Because it was quite like what you were saying. Taylor's movement was really, really good. It was really good, but she was almost afraid to engage. She didn't want to get involved. And what was weird about it was she landed like a big overhand right twice in the fight. The first one especially, I think it was in round 2, really hurt Morose, really hurt her. Like made her, like you could see her eyes rolled and she sort of fell back on her heels. Now she, in credit to Morose, she fucking recovered from it fairly quickly. But I agree with what you were saying, Rob. She was just sort of pushing the punches out there, you know what I mean, just to be seen to be doing it. There was no venom behind them. She landed a few leg kicks the odd times, which are good to chop the opponent down. But apart from that, she never changed the game. She was just constantly doing this very weak 1-2 combination that wasn't landing. Now, I was shocked that she didn't try to close the distance and get the takedown. Like I was calling her in the lead up to this Mrs. Armbar, because she's won so many fights with the armbar. But the only thing I'd say it is as well, though, is that it is very hard to beat somebody that doesn't want to fight. And it's very hard to look good in a, essentially it's like dancing, it's like doing the tango. You need a partner, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, there wasn't a partner here. They didn't want to engage, as Herb Dean repeatedly said. But like for Taylor, her movement looked good, but she just needs to get that little switch to attack. And I think if she did, she could have I think she could have won the fight because she hurt Morales with every shot she landed.
Yeah, fight was absolutely dog shit. It was awful. I just didn't. You know, I'm not being polite about it. I just didn't enjoy that fight whatsoever. Like,
it wasn't good.
Clay Guida, if you go back to a fighter that got criticised, he got criticised for the exact same thing. And, you know, where he was basically loud of movement, just throwing strikes for the sake of throwing them. There was nothing in them. And that's what Morales was doing. As for Taylor, she was constantly circling away, and it just didn't want to engage. Like, it's just fucking awful, like absolutely awful to watch. It's the most boring fight I've ever seen in my life. So,
but the judges there, it was a split decision win. One judge gave it 29-28 to Taylor. The other judge gave it 29-28 to Morales, and then the third judge gave it 30-27. So it's a big difference between Judge 1 and Judge 3 scoring a 29-28 to Taylor and then 30-27.
Yeah, very big difference. And I think, to be fair to the judges, like, that's a hard fight to score. Why wasn't it? Why weren't all them rounds scored 10-10s, or, you know, with the fucking if not much happened then, and, you know, in them rounds where you said she landed a big overhand right, if not much happened, then that should have sealed it around. And there's too many ways to interpret that fight. It was just not that much happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I do think the second round you can argue for Taylor. 100%. I think the second round she done a little bit more. She landed the most significant strikes. Like, as in, there may have only been one big right, but it was the most significant shot of the fight, really.
Yeah.
So then we moved on. Then we had Galati taking on Smith here. This was, for me, Smith won this fight by a perfect game plan. That's what won him the fight here. At the very start, you could see when they came out, and Galati they were exchanging heavy, and straight away it looked like, oh, this is going to be a quick night for Galati here. He's going to get Trevor Smith out of there. Smith closed him down, held him up against the cage, got him in the clinch, and basically controlled him up against the cage, and you know, basically won the first round that way. And you're thinking, be interested to see how Galati comes out for the second round here. He's going to be gassed, because Brian Stam was going on about how strong he is and stuff like that. But the same thing happened in the second round. A big knee though swung the fight as well in Smith's favour in the second round. Looked like he might have broke his nose in that exchange as well. And just phenomenal control of Galati from Smith. You know, again, people might moan that it wasn't the most exciting fight in the world because of that, but he implemented the game plan, and he ended up, he was 30-26, I think, on all judges' scorecards. Like, so it was a pretty decisive win over an undefeated fighter. And I got to take my hats off to Trevor Smith. It was a good performance on his behalf.
Yeah, like, Trevor Smith, his performance was very good, but I'd worry about Galati. I don't know how you say. I don't know how you say his name. I'd worry about him because Smith isn't the best grappler on the planet, and to lose 30-26 on all three judges' scorecards, you have some serious holes to fill in your game, because literally he just got out grappled. And some people would say, yeah, that's boring, but while it might be boring to you, it's that fighter's job on the bottom to get up, and if you can't get up, that's your fault. You haven't trained hard enough, and you're not training on the things you need to be doing in order to get better. Stan was talking about, as you said now, all about how strong he is. He does all this powerlifting stuff. Well, that's just, you know, that doesn't translate to fighting at all. So why are you even doing that? You know what I mean? That's just fucking stupid. Work on your fucking wrestling. Don't be bleeding lifting heavy objects.
I think that's a good point, and I think it was a good performance by Smith. But one thing that kind of stuck out to me was that Galati or however you say his name, he was winning in the exchanges on the feet, but he had
every time he landed, he looked like he hurt him. Yeah,
and you could see he had like a very bad tendency that when he was landing, he would force the clinch, and anytime he forced the clinch, he was getting taken down each time. And usually it wasn't Smith who was forcing the clinch, it was Galati who was closing the distance and like really getting in close to Smith, allowing him to to get that takedown. Good performance by Smith. Galati, I think he still has a bright future if he can work on the things, because he's clearly a serious athlete, as you were saying. Like he's a muscular guy. He did go 3 rounds. He was getting, he was slowing down, but it wasn't the worst I've seen. He did take a bit beating in the grappling exchanges, so it wasn't
one thing that I'd say was a shining light for Galati in that he didn't give up. A lot of fighters might have, turned, given the back. Oh, you had me next, which was there to go a few times. Go on, look, take it. And that fight's over. He stayed in the fight. And like you said there, Rob, every time he landed, he looked like he hurt Smith. He caught him with a beautiful uppercut. One of the times when he was in the clinch, which you were like, what the fuck are you clinching for? Get out of the clinch.
Yeah.
But I think his wildness, he got over excited when he did land. And he was like, oh, here we go. And then he'd grab him and go, oh, fuck him on the ground. But it was a great, I got to give it to Trevor Smith. I thought it was a great performance by him. Because he was getting outstruck on the feet, and he just turned the fight and made the fight his own, and it was a great performance.
That's why it's called mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to adapt and find a way to win the fight, and Smith done it.
So that was the one where I went with Galati on that one there. So that was an X on my resume for this fight pick. I can't remember who Dan went on that one. Dan might have went with Smith.
He went with Smith, he's Smith,
Yeah, okay. So the next fight of the evening then, we had Zach Cummins taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio, or whatever they were called. Ponzinibbio, that's it. Once I heard Joe Rogan, not Joe Rogan, whoever was commentating, I was like, Ponzinibbio, geez, that's easy to say. Why wasn't I saying it like that? So Ponzinibbio. So for me, this was actually fight of the night.
Very good fight, yeah.
I enjoyed this fight, and I didn't think I would, and I thought, not that I didn't think I would, I just thought it was going to be Zach Cummins trying to wrestle Santiago down, and that's what it was. But Cummins looked good on his feet. Like the fight started off, and Cummins opened up with good shots, but I felt that it was Santiago sort of baiting him and getting a feel for him. He was throwing a lot of feints to see what was happening, and then once he got his rhythm in the fight, he just started he landed a beautiful head kick in the first round, wasn't it?
Cummins took it like a champ.
He fucking eat it, he did. He was like a bit of vinegar on it, he ate it. But then Santiago just found a home then for that right hand as well, and he was starting to light Cummins up, and it sort of looked like the fight was going to just start to go that way. But fuck me, man, Zach Cummins can take a fucking dig. And he fought his way back into it, like, and he had his moments, like I think it was coming near the end of the second round. It looked like it was all Santiago in the second round, and then it was like Zach Cummins went, all right, now it's my turn, and he piled on the pressure, and it looked like he had taken the momentum of the fight. It was a fucking barn burner. I loved it. For me, it was definite fight tonight. And then the third round, now I did think Santiago he landed the better shots. It was more his speed was winning in the fight, and his shots were more damaging. This is something we talked about a lot with the Robbie Lawler Carlos Condit fight, where you are telling me that Condit didn't win the fight. It's fucking Egypt. But he was every time Santiago landed, it looked like a hurt Cummins. It really did. And Cummins landed some big shots on as well, like
especially in the fourth.
Great beards.
Yeah, especially in the fourth, Cummins came out really, really aggressive and really, really strong. I think you see it a lot in MMA. I always do when I'm picking fights. Like if you have a guy who's really good at striking, say like in the Joanna and the Gadella fight, where in the first couple of rounds, Gadella looks competitive on the feet because she has a full gas tank. But when you start draining down, you can kind of see where each guy is a different level. Like, and it happens with grappling as well. Like sometimes you'll have a guy who will be a worse grappler, but he'll go in there in the first round and he'll be competitive. But once they start losing their gas, you can kind of see where they are when their physical abilities go. And that's kind of what happened in this fight when Ponzinibbio later in the rounds start kind of finding his range and start hurting him. And Zach starting to kind of get a little bit tired. You could see Ponzinibbio's quality, and he was landing that right hand. He was mixing up with the jab right hand, and then he was throwing that inside leg kick as well, which was devastating. Yeah, I thought it was a great performance by Ponzinibbio. I think he's the one that people should really be looking at in that division. I really do.
Yeah, it was a very good fight. Like as you said, Robert, stamina did play a factor in the fight. Like I love that when fighters really test each other like that, you know, and it takes that grit and determination to try come true. Like that's just a great fight to watch. Like that's why I love 5-round fights, because
Yeah.
you see in a fight it's so much of a story, and in this fight over the course of 3 rounds we had an amazing story. So
And
yeah,
we'll talk about that in the main event as well. That's a
yeah.
serious 5-round fight.
Exactly, you know. But yeah, it's fantastic, very, very good fight. Again, I was just on the edge of my seat the whole time. It was a very good fight.
Yeah,
Very
no,
good.
it's excellent. It looked like it could have finished. It swung. It looked like Santiago was going to run away with it, and then next minute Cummins would come in. And what I loved about it was though was takedown defense.
Yeah.
Cummins is a very, very accomplished wrestler, and Santiago used his wrestling to just almost chuck it out style. We always say chuck it out style, but he used it to basically still just stop the takedown. He used his wrestling, and then when Cummins got a takedown, I think it was in the second round, he just gave him the strong arm, got his legs out and got away, and he didn't get. I think he had like 5 attempted takedowns, didn't get any of them.
Yeah,
So
there was a couple of takedowns as well where he was on his leg and Santiago made him pay with some good strikes as well.
yeah,
I think there's a certain Brazilian style of takedown defense that you can kind of see there. Jose Aldo does it. And then Ponzinibbio, there's a few like Renan Barão used to do it as well. They kind of just they force the single leg, and once they force the single leg, they throw strikes and push away. It's beautiful, yeah.
That was good. And the judges, that went to the judges' scorecards, as we know. 2 judges scored at 29-28, and the third judge scored at 30-27 for your winner by unanimous decision.
And just in case they're keeping track as well, we both went Ponzinibbio and Dan went with Cummins in that one. So flipped there.
That was a pain for us, yeah. Your next bout of the evening then seeing Thales Leites taking on Chris Camozzi. I'm delighted with this one because I sort of called it pretty decent enough that Thales Leites was off 3 in a row, but he'd fought the higher level opponent, I think, is the best way of saying that. But what do we think of the fight? I'll let you break it down first before I start spitting me stuff.
For me, I'm a man that loves me grappling. That was a grappling clinic put on by Thales Leites. You know, I said it earlier, like it's your job to learn how to get off the bottom, and if you can't do that, tough, you're in for a long night. You know what I mean? And I think Thales Leites has that style of jiu-jitsu where it's akin to a wrestler in that it's a grinding style of jiu-jitsu, and he breaks your will, and I think that's what happened in that fight. Like he basically had Camozzi on the bottom for like all 3 rounds pretty much, and just basically treated him like a dirty mite. He rode the life out of him. So yeah, it was a very, very good performance from Thales Leites. I loved it. It was fucking it was brilliant to watch. Like just in every position he had dominant position. He didn't look like he was ever gonna lose it. He didn't let Camozzi try scramble or like it was fantastic. Very, very good. And then as I said, he broke him. And now you hinted on it earlier about fighters just saying, oh Jesus, the choke is there, go on, have it, get me out of here. And I think that's what happened to Camozzi. He was like, I'm fucking done. And Leites just broke his will. So yeah, it was a great performance from Leites. Very good, very good. I don't think he'd be winning any titles anytime soon, Leites, though. I think he'll come up against those upper echelon fighters and he'll take a beating. Camozzi is a consummate journeyman. So in terms of what that does for him in the division, it's not very impressive, but still, it's a good performance.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think I do agree with what you said about Leites. He does have that kind of grinding, grappling style. It's just, I'd say it's brutal to be under. He constantly tried to take his back. Anytime that Camozzi got anything going, he would shoot for a takedown, and he had got some nice takedowns. He had like a couple of different style takedowns, some trips, and he had like a body lock takedown, a few different ones. But I do agree. I think that he just kind of broke him in the end. Camozzi did last for 3 rounds, which was impressive because Leites probably had his back for, I'd say, at least two thirds of that fight. For a long time in that fight, he had his back, and he kind of lasted in there. But I thought it was a very good performance by Leites. I do agree, though. I don't think he's going to be winning titles. But the funny thing is, I thought, the Michael Bisping fight that he had, the one, in England, thought that was a bit closer than a lot of people might have said, or the judges even might have said. But yeah, good performance. I think Leites looked good. Camozzi didn't look bad, but he was just completely out-grappled by a better grappler.
Yeah, well, I thought when the fight started, the way Thales Leites got the back and stuff, I actually as I was watching it, I was sort of commended. Camosi was gone. He stayed calm. He hasn't wasted energy stupidly. He hasn't tried to explode and give up his back. Second round was about much the same. Just Talis putting on an absolute clinic. Then the third round, Camosi came out and he came out firing. He knew he had to get the job done, but beautifully timed change of levels, and Les got him taken down.
Before we move on, what do
again,
you think of the first round? Would you score that 10-8 for? He didn't do an awful lot of damage, but he
No,
had his
I wouldn't.
back for the full
Yeah,
round.
I wouldn't call it a 10-8 though. I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I would have been a 10-9.
Yeah.
I just, as much as I'm commending Camosi
What,
for staying calm, you have to look at Talis Laitis, how he basically was in a dominant position for almost 15 minutes, and look how calm he remained,
Yeah.
and constantly transitions, wait until, didn't force and give up position, waited and played the game until the position came available to finish the fight, and got it done in the third with a rear naked choke. It was absolutely beautiful. The body lock just exhausts you.
Yeah.
For anyone who's ever done jiu-jitsu, when you're just watching on the telly, it just looks like your man has his legs around you. But like a proper guy at that level, like it's like they're strangling your body, and it's just tough to get air into you, and it's just exhausting. And he basically carried his weight for the majority of the fight, and I just thought it was a clinic, an absolute clinic by Talis Laitis.
Yep.
Then moving on to the co-main event of the evening was Dennis the Menace Bermudez taking on Honey Jason. And I have to say, I gave out about Honey Jason all the way in building up, going, he's fucking overrated. And he is overrated, but he had a good performance in there, like as in, it was a good fight. Bermudez looked fucking phenomenal. That combination into the takedown, and then just landing violent ground and pound, and then slicing elbows. That elbow that just ripped. I thought that was going to be the fight. I have to be honest. I thought the referee was going to stop
The elbow,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, but you got to give it, like, Honey Jason's world is the ground. Do you know what I mean? And you could see, though, his tactic from the first round to the second round. The first round, he was trying to throw up submissions, and he was getting pounded to fuck. And then when he got taken down in the second round, he thought, well, I'm not going for fucking submissions, as he got the head boxed off him. But I thought it was a really good fight. Bermudez looked good. It was the type of fight he needed. So I just, with dominant, beautiful transitions, the way he was mixing up his striking to get in, to close the distance, get the takedown, take the singles. He had a couple of nice high crotch into slams and stuff like that for takedowns. So I just thought it was really good fighting. He nearly got caught. It was the third round. He nearly got caught. Submission.
Yeah.
But again, didn't panic, got out of it, and just continued to fucking batter Jason. But yeah, it was a good fight, and as much as I was giving out about Honey Jason last week, and he got a little star, he would have got a smiley face and a good performance from me on his homework notebook. But yeah, good win for Bermudez. Again, he needed that, so he's going to start working his way up now. That's 2 in a row victories, so start working his way back up that featherweight division.
Yeah, Dennis Bermudez at featherweight is one of my favourite fighters. I've yet to see a Bermudez fight that's been boring. He has one of my favourite. He's probably my favourite, like, wrestling ground and pound fighters in the UFC at the minute. His ground and pound is just fucking vicious, absolutely vicious. I love it. Even when he shoots, like if he shoots in on a double or a single, like he puts everything into it. He tries to shoot through you, like absolutely phenomenal. So, I love Dennis Bermudez. This fight against Honey Jason, like I'm in agreement with you now. Like Honey Jason won the first Ultimate Fighter Brazil, so the UFC put a lot of stock in that and like expected him to be the next big thing out of Brazil, and I think that pressure may have got to him a bit, because Honey Jason coming into this fight took off a year to train, and then he comes in and he goes against an absolute beast that is Dennis Bermudez, and he gets beaten in his own game, which is grappling. Like as you said, that fourth round, how fucking horrible was that to go into that fourth round and go, like, yeah, grappling, that's my world. I could easily submit you there, go in and just get the ears boxed off you, like, you know what I mean? And basically lose at your game, and then to have to readjust, Now I know it's mixed martial arts and you should be used to adjusting, but Yeah, like when you're beating at your own game, that's pretty bad. Like, you know, if that's supposed to be your bread and butter, yeah, you got fucked, mate. You know? It was a Jamie Vardy chat shit get banged, you know.
Yeah, it's actually like a bang job.
Yeah.
I think I
Glad he
should
got
say.
banged today. Oh, come on, this lads.
Did Latin score?
Yeah, the winner.
He did, yeah. Nice.
Nice.
With a big fucking whoosh.
I just kind of have to say now that I should say that he got boxed around, because I think that I'm the only one that hasn't said that on the show yet.
Yeah.
He got
Yeah.
boxed around. Yeah, I thought there was a couple of things that Honey Jason done in the grappling. He had a lovely switch to get almost get that choke in the third.
Yeah, that was lovely. That was lovely.
In the first round, he went for a triangle, which was close enough, but Bermudez kind of pushed it up. He was okay. But Bermudez, yeah, his takedowns are just ridiculous. He's probably the most explosive wrestler in that division. I think you could say one of the most explosive wrestlers in the UFC at this point.
Chad Mendes is probably in that division, but Chad's not there now.
Yeah, but it's close. Like if they you know, it's close. But I do agree. I think he's a great prospect, and I think that he's always in a really, really exciting fight. Everybody should go back and watch his fight with Matt Grice, Dennis Bermudez. That was one of the fucking craziest fights I've ever seen in my life. So just go back and watch that. But yeah, good performance. Jason looked like he made some improvements, but I don't think he's at that level anyway. But yeah, it was a good fight.
Yeah, that again was a tick as well in their column there. We both picked that. Just previous status ladies before that, I picked that. You picked that as well, Rob. Yeah.
Yeah, and
that was a tick.
Dan went Kamaz.
Was he? Who did he go with in this? Did he go? He went Bermudez, didn't he?
Bermudez, yeah, and then the last one we all went with Yar Rodriguez.
Yeah, so Yar Rodriguez main event against fucking Alex fucking Bruce. Fuck off, Leroy.
You have to like him after this fight, man. You have to like him after this fight. No,
you don't like Bruce Leroy, no?
Don't fucking like him.
Why?
Just he's a yellow tracksuit with black stripes, car.
Oh, fair enough. I know what you mean.
That's
a winning argument.
What did you think of the fight?
It was very entertaining in terms of what was thrown, but not a lot landed. You know, it was.
Yeah.
That's
now.
You know.
See, the reason why I ask right, because I've seen people, what a fight. To me, it was like watching Capoeira. They were doing all these flash moves.
It is MMA.
I know, but a high volume of what they were throwing wasn't landing. Now, I think if you get Yar Rodriguez in there with anyone in the top 10 in that division, they're going to close the distance that he can't do as ballerina, and they're going to box the fucking head off him. Now, don't get me wrong, it was an entertaining fight. I enjoyed it. Watching it was easy to watch. Rodriguez impressed me in some ways. He did impress me. His stuff is great, but sometimes I felt he was throwing them just to throw them. I love his transitions when he gets taken down, the way he rolls into like he's going for a knee bar or a heel hook just to stand back up. It's phenomenal. I don't know what way the judges scored. I don't know what they were watching. It was weird that like it was a split decision win. But talking about Alex, yeah, he showed great heart, and I think his game plan was let fucking Rodriguez throw all his stuff for the first 2 rounds. 2.5 rounds, and then I'll get him in the later rounds. And it looked like that. Because when Caceres got into the boxing range, he was winning the exchanges.
Yeah.
He was standing off him too much and letting Rodriguez do all his spinny shit. Don't get me wrong, the spinny shit's deadly when it lands or not. Like, I love Barboza when he does it. But when he throws it with ferocity and fierceness. Do you know what I mean? And it's there to kill you. Well, I felt watching Rodriguez, he was just sort of showing it to do it, if you know what I mean. So like he's only a young fighter, he's a huge prospect. Like, I picked him for a reason, because I thought he'd win. But you said, why do I not like Alex, and how do I not like him after this fight? Why? Because he didn't do anything amazing. Like, if you look at the amount of times he spun himself, not throwing an attack, defending, to run away. One thing you're told in the fighting is never turn your back to your opponent. Go back and watch the fight and watch the amount of times that Alex Caceres just spins for no fucking reason whatsoever. Doesn't throw an attack, doesn't throw whatever, just does a ballerina little twirl for no fucking apparent reason.
It's because Yar Rodriguez was throwing fucking spinning roundhouse kicks at him.
No, but he spins for no reason. Like, Yar Rodriguez doesn't throw anything at him and he spins. I'm like, what the fuck's he twirling for? It was I don't know. It was an alright fight. Like, like I said, I thought Zach Cummins and Santiago was a much better fight. They were throwing shots heavy at one another. It was good to look at. It was like watching. This sounds weird. It's like watching a really good kids fight where their technique is great and they can
Ah,
do crazy things, but you know they're not going to hurt one another. And that's what it
I
looked like to me.
come on, come on. Those shots that Yair Rodriguez was throwing in the first and the second, if some of those landed flush, which some of them did land, but I thought Caceres done a good job at kind of getting away from them and kind of moving. He was actually doing really well rolling with the punches as well. When Yair Rodriguez was landing, he was rolling with the punches. He didn't get caught as much, and I think he's learned that over the years because if you look at Alex Caceres a few years ago, he would kind of just walk into strikes and get caught. But I thought those shots, like if you look at the last fight that Yair Rodriguez had, he threw that jumping roundhouse kick. Like those strikes that Yair Rodriguez was throwing, they were thrown with power, and if one of those landed, which it did land against a good guy in Andre Fili in his last fight, he was going down. But I think the reach on Caceres was a big factor. I think Caceres being able to move out of the way was a big factor. I do agree that they were throwing a lot of strikes and they weren't really landing. I don't think they're just throwing them just to throw them. I think Yair Rodriguez is a he's a really creative fighter. I do. I think he's a really creative fighter, and I think that he's going in there and he's trying stuff. I think if you look at the likes of John Jones early in his career, he threw plenty of stuff. Now a lot of it did land as well, but a lot of it didn't land. He was kind of just trying different things, and he's developed.
I just think you get Yair Rodriguez, and this is not like, don't get me wrong, Alex Caceres done well to stay in there for the 5 rounds. He landed some shots. I think if he closed the distance, it's a different fight, and he could have won the fight.
Yeah.
But I honestly believe you put Yair Rodriguez in there with a top 10 guy, he's not going to be allowed to do that stuff. Do you know what I mean?
But to be fair, he is.
They put him against a main event against fucking Bruce Leroy. Do you know what I mean? That was a main event. Bruce Leroy is not a main event when Cub Swanson's on the fucking card.
Yeah, but that's just like logistics.
It's they gave him a good opponent to allow that to happen.
What is it? What is a main event fighter? Or what? Like, who is a main event fighter? What is a main event fighter? Define it, like.
Well, it's somebody who's like you're interested at. It's someone who's against someone it's a competitive fight that is going to be tested, and basically the best guys on the card should be highest up. So the most exciting fighter should be highest up. Now, like, don't get me wrong, all the spinning stuff was magical. Do you know what I mean? It was great, but I can go out to the Gaiety to watch that as well. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think the fight. And now I was watching it, and I had notes and all going, amazing kick and spinning stuff, and wow. But it wasn't, like, in hindsight, watching it now and thinking back going, a lot of it was just, why was Caceres just spinning when he wasn't doing nothing? Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. I just didn't think the fight was all that great, and it's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it, so go fuck yourself, Rob.
That's, yeah, like, you know, now you can let the adults speak, you can play over in the corner, go ahead. But, like, yeah, I agree that a lot of the stuff that was thrown clearly wasn't very effective, especially on Yair Rodriguez's part. I agree with you 100% now. But I think that's also Yair Rodriguez's game, is that, can you imagine there's a spinning fan in front of you and you have to reach through that fan to grab something on the other side? Picture that in fighting. If you're throwing all these spinning kicks and someone's trying to tag your head with a punch and you're throwing spinning shit as they're coming in, that's very dangerous for you. There's a chance of you getting hit. And I think that sort of style, Rodriguez uses that so as to put doubt in his opponent's minds of to whether get too close and possibly take that flying knee or a spinning kick. And then if you're out too far, obviously, you know, then he's going to throw that weird capoeira bleeding over the head bleeding volley kicks. I don't know what the fuck they're called. So I think some of that is a style in that it's, you know, to put doubt in your mind and to stop you coming forward so he doesn't get hit as much. But also,
he uses a sidekick to keep you out of range. I know exactly what he's doing.
I'm not talking about the sidekick. I'm talking about all the spins and the volume of kicks. You know what I mean? All that volume that's used. That's basically his way of feinting. It might not be the most effective energy-wise. Why not just feint? You could say that, but that's his style. we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, he's gonna go on and progress and fight better opponents. We can only see how far that style's gonna get him.
Yeah.
But for me, it's very, very interesting to watch, because this could be something that, we were only talking a couple of weeks ago about something that revolutionized mixed martial arts. Could this be something that's gonna revolutionize the way some fighters fight? You wouldn't know. You're shaking your head now, no, but you wouldn't know. We have to be optimistic. It's called mixed martial arts for a reason. We'll see.
You look at it though, Carl. The argument is, you look at it. You spoke about this at the start. If he's doing that input, you can see it from round 3, 4, and 5 that his level drops a little bit. Obviously, the stuff he's throwing, it's amazing. Like, to look at, it's like, holy shit. But when it's not effective, it makes no sense to throw it, because when you get into the latter rounds, you're going to get somebody who, when you get tired, you're in trouble. Now, like, if one of them kicks landed last night and knocks out, you go, amazing, fantastic. For me, a lot of the kicks he done and a lot of the flash, it was a little bit like Monroe's. She wasn't in the distance, and he wasn't in the distance to throw some of them techniques, and he was missing. And he wasn't missing by, like, grazing Caceres. He was missing by a yard. Like, a few kicks he threw when he completely fresh-aired wind, and he was miles away. And it took so much energy to sap him. So some of the techniques, what I'd say to him is, rein it in a bit. The moves are amazing, but do it when it's effective. Now, I know you don't know how well it'd be effective if we throw it now, but throwing 10 spinning attacks inside a round isn't effective on your energy level, no matter what you say.
You also have to remember, he's a young fighter, and this is his first 5-round fight in the UFC. What's the saying, his next fight, that what you're saying doesn't happen, that he doesn't rein it in?
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say the exact same thing. Like,
yeah, but hold on. I understand that, but I'm recapping the fight last night. You asked what we thought about last night's fight. So I can see his future. He's only young. He's only going to learn. He's going to improve. He's going to get that. I get that whole argument of it. But my point is, I've seen people going on about what an amazing fight. I didn't think it was an amazing fight. I thought it was a very, very entertaining fight. I thought they both showed some good skills. I thought that with Yair Rodriguez, I really do think he's a very, very, very creative fighter, and I do think he was trying some stuff out there. Just like if you look at, say, I'm going to compare it to Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, number 1. If you're picking Conor McGregor in the next fight, you're banking on Conor not throwing those stupid fucking spinning crescent kicks, whatever the fuck he was throwing in the first round, and throwing himself out and throwing those big looping punches. But in the first round, that worked. He landed some good shots, and if he knocked out Nate Diaz in the first round with one of those shots, you was like, oh, that's a great performance, well done. But he didn't. So in this fight, you have Yair Rodriguez. He was trying some stuff. In his last fight, he won by jumping roundhouse kick. If he landed that, then you'd be like, grand, he won that there. But he didn't. He won the round probably 4 rounds to 1, maybe 3 rounds to 2. It depends on which way you score. I don't know how you're scoring to Bruce. You see, my whole point about what the start to this was, you said, as I said, you don't like Alex Caceres, right? And you went, you must like him after last night. No, I don't. He didn't. Why? Because he got beaten up and stayed in there. And like, I don't think Rodriguez landed the shots. If he had landed the shots, he would have got Caceres out there. But that doesn't mean, like, Caceres doesn't impress me. I don't think he's a good striker. I genuinely don't think he's a good striker. Yeah. I think he's flaky or something. He's weird. He's strange in his approach. So that's the challenge when you fight Alex Caceres. But that's my point about Yair Rodriguez, and why it shouldn't have been a main event, is because that's the reason. Caceres isn't a world-class fighter, and that's what should be your main event in the show, is the world-class fighter.
The reason why
Rodriguez is a young, upcoming fighter, and I love that. And so is Alex Caceres. But my whole point of it, should he gain respect? No, because I just didn't think it was a great fight. Like,
the reason why it was main event is because both these fighters are chaotic, and that's what draws people to watch a fight. Whether you personally like that or not, no, a lot of people are entertained by that. So the UFC aren't just going to cater to you; they're going to cater to the masses, and the masses want chaos, and that's what that fight was.
And there's one thing.
It was chaos, though.
Clearly you weren't watching the same fight, because that crowd thought it was chaos. If you heard the crowd during that fight, they were fired up. I don't know.
My point is the whole card, though. Like, if we're talking, because we said my argument is a main event, whatever. Like, the spinny stuff is entertaining, yeah, but it wasn't damaging. It wasn't a back and forth fight.
I personally think that.
Yeah, because Rodriguez won that fight 4 rounds to 1, so that's not a competitive fight.
Yeah. Well,
Are you
it was
sure?
kind
I
of.
don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. No.
Yeah.
Like I think
What rounds did Alex Caceres win?
like,
Three was Alex Caceres, I think. I scored to him. Number 4 was close, and I don't think you could go either way. But then 1, 2, and 4, 5 were clearly Yair
Yeah, but then
Rodriguez.
you're agreeing with me saying 4-1. You're just
Yeah,
jumping on
but
round 4.
3,
yeah,
but that's
but
post.
the rounds were still contested. You know what I mean? Like
I
it
thought
was
it was Alex Caceres running away and spinning for no reason. But sure, look, we could be here all night about. And that's not personal thing against Alex Caceres. I just didn't think it was a great fight.
I think we
It was
should try
entertaining
Alex.
in the flick and stuff.
I thought it was a really entertaining fight. I thought we saw some stuff that's very innovative. I really do. I think that we're going to see down the line. I think
No,
I think
you
Yair
completely
Rodriguez.
misunderstand what I'm saying. What he was doing was good, but it wasn't effective. It's only effective when it's landing. I just thought he was out of range. I thought he was trying it too much. Do you know what I mean? Like he was going to the well. It's like if you
thought
have a
it
fighter
depends. No,
that
that
has a big overhand right, and that's all they throw. You have to keep them guessing. If you keep throwing the spin and stuff, mix it up, get in with the takedown. Like I loved his reversal and takedowns was phenomenal. The way he had done that was phenomenal. Like the kid is talented, but he just
it really depends.
That's how I judge it.
It really depends on what you class as effective. As I said before, throwing that much volume, that in and of itself is effective. As I've said, that shuts down your opponent's game. Like that in and of itself is effective. Like you're saying it wasn't effective. It's completely ineffective. And while a lot of them didn't land, it shut him down. It stopped him from tagging him. That's effective. Like so, it's just it depends.
Stick Yair Rodriguez in there against a better fighter. He's not going to do that.
Well, not right.
Not going to be allowed to do that.
Not right now. Not right now. Obviously not, because he's still learning the craft. But right now he's not. But
I will say
5-6 fights time.
There was a couple of other things I think you're saying all that spinning shit. There's some techniques in there that he was throwing. He was mixing up those techniques. He was throwing different things. He was throwing a weird spinning roundhouse kick and then when he missed it, he was throwing a lovely low leg kick to the ankle.
Oh yeah, he done that a few times. Yeah.
And then there was another strike where I think he was throwing I don't know if it was like an overhand right, and when he missed that, or if he did land it, he was throwing like a back fist, but like it wasn't a spinning back fist, it was a standing back fist. Like, I kind of say that that's akin to what John Jones was doing early in his career. John Jones was throwing all this strange stuff, and if you go back and look at that, and he was missing a lot, and you're like, that's just, he shouldn't be throwing that, he's too wild, he's going to get caught. But then he started landing it. Like, I think that, for me, if I was like I don't know, if I was like an MMA god and I was telling people what to do, I'd be like, innovate, just do what you want, go crazy in there. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing, just do it. If it doesn't work in that fight, it doesn't work in that fight. I don't disagree that some of it was ineffective in that fight, but I still think it was entertaining and it was very interesting to see what he was doing, personally. But it's,
no, that's grand. I want to attack your opinion, like you have just attacked mine.
Fuck you now.
So let's move it on anyway, okay? So UFC 204 in Manchester is basically, it's come out now, it's been reported that it's going to be run to American timeline. So this is, to use my famous interesting, this is interesting because essentially that means you're going to turn up to UFC 204 in Manchester, you're going to roll into the stadium at about 12, let's say, midnight to get there early. And the fights are going to get underway at 1 a.m. And then you're going to stay there and have a night or whatever, blah, 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 and leave the venue at about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. So I can appreciate it. They're doing it for television purposes. Sorry, I've dropped you again. They're doing it for television purposes in pay-per-view back in the States. But for the paying public in the UK that are going to it, it's a pretty weird one, isn't it?
I personally feel sorry for all the staff on that night and the police force, because you know what's going to happen. I guarantee it, and it happen anywhere. It's not that it's just in England. It happened in Ireland. It could happen anywhere. All them fans that are going to be going to that fight, what are they going to do? They're getting that day and the next day off work to go see these fights.
Weekend,
yeah, of course. So they're getting it off work. What are you going to do? You're going to go out with the lads. You're going to see some fights later. You're going to get tanked up. Most likely, you're going to go to the fights absolutely pissed. The police are going to have it's just going to be messy, like, you know what I mean? That's the angle I'm looking at from. People are going to be out drinking all day and fucking, of course, out to enjoy themselves. But of course, you're going to get arseholed as well. You know what I mean? I think the UFC you really need to think about how they're gonna go about that, because if you have a stadium that's like pretty much half empty because half the fans either are too drunk to show up to the fight, or a quarter of them are getting arrested, or they're not being allowed in because they're too drunk.
Quarter.
That just looks bad. Like, you know what I mean? It just looks bad.
I think on that end, I think for the people who are like that, I think in MMA, I think we can all agree that the amount of shows that we've been to, there hasn't been a lot of that. There really hasn't. Like, and I know it's a different start time and stuff.
That's very true. But there also hasn't been an event this late.
Yeah, true. But I also think the kinds of people that are going to do that, if a fight card starts at 2 o'clock, they're drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning. I really do. I think that they're the sorts of people that would do that, honestly. And then the people who would go out for a drink, like say if we go to that card and we were to go for a drink, there's no gone to be back in a minute. And we started drinking early. I think our kind of personalities, it obviously wouldn't get into a fight. But I do understand, like, especially for the staff, not just because of the fighting thing, but just for the staff in general. It's a fucking late night, like.
Yeah, that's an absolute pain in the arse. So I'd hate to be working that event. That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, but the actual thing itself, we'll get a bit into when Noel gets back in, hopefully. The actual thing itself, it's not the first time they've done it. Now, I know they've done it, I think, in Sweden, and there's Noel back now. I know they've done something like this in Sweden. I was just saying now that it's not the first time they've done it. And they also, when they do it in Australia, they'll do the cards early to make it kind of applicable to US time. So I think it's a little bit different than doing it late. But I don't know, I don't think they'll have a problem still selling out. Like, I don't think that'll be a problem.
No,
but it is still.
For me, like, I know the route you're going, Carl, other than saying, people drinking and stuff like that, and fair enough, I get that route too. But I just think, in a way, it's almost inconsiderate to, like, I know there's probably only going to be like 8,000 or 9,000 people in the MEN, right? So, they're obviously playing to the masses, as you said earlier, Carl, that they're not going to just put on fights for me, it's for the masses. So, but I just think it is unfair, like, because I'm sure there's kids that'll be like 15 or 16 that'll be going with their parents to it, and it just means then, like, it's in October, so like, if you're a normal Joe Soap, you save up. UFC tickets aren't that cheap, so they're dear. But then you gotta, like, you can't just do your normal week and then go out at 12 o'clock at night to stay up at 6 a.m. in the morning. That's not something. So it's going to affect people for about 2 or 3 days. The day beforehand, you're probably going to have to go to bed, do a test run, and stay up late, basically, right? Stay up as late as you can on the Friday night, go to bed, wake up late on Saturday afternoon/evening, and then go to the fights that night. And then Sunday morning, you're going to be only getting in the door and you're going to sleep late. So come Monday morning, if you're up for work on Monday, your whole body's fucked, like, do you know what I mean? So it's a weird one, and it's something that I wouldn't like to see become a regular thing. I get why they're doing it, but like it'd be like if Conor McGregor ever fought back here in Ireland, like, let's say the Bleeding Crow Park or the Viva happened, right?
Yeah.
I honestly think they'd do this if this happened. And Carl, I can get that. Like, can you imagine going to Crow Park at fucking midnight?
No, because it wouldn't be allowed here.
No, it wouldn't be allowed.
It wouldn't be allowed. There's a watershed.
Yeah, but I know all that thing. But look, I'm just saying, as an example, can you imagine if that happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just.
I'd say that walk up to that stadium would be absolute chaos.
Yeah.
People just pissed.
Murders row.
Yeah. It'd be pissed.
Yeah.
It'd be horrible.
I think what we can gather from this is Carl doesn't have a lot of faith in humanity.
Nah, fuck people.
No, he doesn't. Carl just has everyone down as absolute fucking alcoholics.
Yeah.
But no, I get that point, and it is a strong point in fairness. But I also get Rob's point. The elements that are going to do that, like, they do this with football. They make football. The likes of Man United playing Liverpool, for example, they do the game at like a 1:15 kickoff. Yeah. Just so people aren't in the pubs drinking all day and stuff like that. But it still happens. You still get lads coming up from Liverpool or going down from Manchester drinking on the train and doing all that. So it's still going to happen. So that element that do that are still going to do it anyway. Yeah. So
just from Flow Combat were the ones that report this to say that they were going to do it. And just for reference, the last time they done this was the Sweden card. It was Johnson versus Gustafsson. And they basically started the main card at 2 a.m. Local time. So they said
actually Go on, sorry.
No, just because
go ahead.
it would be like 1 a.m. probably in UK time if they do it.
But the mad thing about that as well is, right, the fighter. Forget the fan.
I was just about
the fighter. Like, if you look at...
That would be the same. If you're like training in the US, that your body clock...
but hold on. Right, I get that, right? But, like, they were talking about Talis Laitis. They thought it was going to be... he was going to be at a disadvantage this weekend. They only flew into where the card was last night, and it's at altitude, and he only flew in on the Wednesday or something, right?
Yeah.
But, right, fair enough. If you're American and you're used to that, I'm Dan Henderson, and I'm fighting Michael Bisping. He still has to come to the UK a week beforehand and do all the press coverage and all that. So you're going to tell me he's going to live and sleep and to keep up his American time?
They'll do the pressers at like 12 a.m. or something, just to keep. But that's
what I mean. You're going to have what, 10 fights on the card or whatever. So that's 20 fighters that are going to be walking around Manchester at fucking 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm fighting at this time in a week time. I mean, it's from that side, from the fighter's perspective, I think the fighters are going to suffer because your body's not going to, no matter if you stay on American time, I fly over again, I'm Dan Henderson, I fly over and I stay in American time. It doesn't, your body is fucked up. I've worked nights on jobs, I'm sure you've worked late nights, lads. Your body just doesn't run the same, it runs different. So an athlete isn't going to peak fighting in Manchester at fucking 3 a.m, 4 a.m. in the morning. It doesn't matter because your body is in England, it's in the country, it sees its daylight and it's pissing fucking rain. It's always raining in Manchester. So your body's not going to peak. So I think from that perspective, forget the actual aspect of the fans and putting that out. The actual fighter aspect is a crazy angle.
Mm.
It could potentially lead to lackluster fights if that's the case.
Exactly.
Like, that's worst case scenario. If that happens, it could be bad fights. Like.
Yeah, it's a weird one as well because you just assume like why wouldn't they just do a normal, like do a Fox show or something like that where they can go more regular times. I suppose they want to sell this card on pay-per-view because it's a bit of a draw. I think it's a fairly big draw for the UFC. Dan Henderson, Michael Bisping, two big stars. Good rematch. Just keep showing that punch over and over again.
Yeah, and also it is a big draw in the UK because it's that forced champion, at that level. So it is a big draw,
Yeah, the one thing I will say as well, the UK fans, if you're going from the fans' perspective, they're used to staying up that late. So the hardcore fans, I suppose, wouldn't like. I wouldn't personally mind myself. Like if there was a card over here and it was but come
here, Rob. That's when you're sitting at home on your couch. Do you know what I mean? It's very different. You know what I mean? You're sort of sat there, your day is done, and you go, I'm going to bed in a bit. It doesn't matter. There, you only have to walk. I only have to literally just off screen, just there. I just have to walk out that door and I'm in bed. While you have to. How are they going to like public transport? How are they going to? What's going to happen there?
Yeah, if they're
going to be public transport, is there going to be? You know what I mean? So it's a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare.
It's a nightmare, but I think
absolute logistical nightmare. Yeah. No, but we all know why they're doing it. But I just think it's going to affect fighters. It's going to affect the fans, and I don't know. Maybe don't show it live in the States or something. Do you know what I mean? Show it live. Don't show it live in the States, and put it on at a normal time for America.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's a lot of bollocks. I hate the fact that they're doing it that way. It's a load of absolute bollocks. Fucking Dana White and his baldy stupid head. Fuck him anyway, cunt.
And moving on, speaking about bollockses, Brock Lesnar's test was not requested before UFC 200. So this is something that came out. There was another wrinkle basically added to the Brock Lesnar USADA story. Recorded to a report by Mark Raimondi. Do I always say that wrong, or is that right?
Yeah, no, that's
Raimondi.
Right.
At MMAfighting.com. USADA have gotten the results back quicker had the agency requested it. They could have got it, so they could basically request it. So Anthony Butch, who is the lab's director, told MMA Fighting that that expedited results can return anywhere from 2 days to a week if requested at an extra cost. So basically requesting does not necessarily mean a result will come back any quicker than usual, but USADA in this case did not make that request. So what's your thoughts on USADA not to push for the result? Is there a conspiracy theory here? John Jones removed for drugs. They bring in the Tank, the Beast, the Human what a man looks like when on drugs. Brock Lesnar comes in. He was tested multiple times, failed the test for, they're saying, I think it's out now, isn't it? It's estrogen blockers again. Same thing as John Jones. What you'd use after a cycle of steroids is what the accusation is. But yeah, so they could have said, any chance of getting the results there, lads? But they didn't. So what's your thoughts on it?
Go ahead, Carl.
Lesnar was treated as a special case coming into that fight. So I think his test sample should have been treated as a special case also.
Yeah.
Simple as. It should have been. It should have been quicker. If you truly care about fighter safety, then yeah, he should have been treated as a special case, and his bloods should have been rushed through. 100%.
Yeah. Like, as much as Carl has no faith in humanity, usually I like to put a little bit in it. So when I first heard of the whole, Brock not getting tested for the first 4 months thing, I was like, okay, he wasn't in the UFC when USADA was around, given that benefit of the doubt. And then when he popped, I was like, okay, these test results take a while to come back. We know this. Maybe they didn't get it back and whatever. Give them a benefit of the doubt. But when you start hearing this and you're like, this fighter who, everybody in the world who looks at Brock Lesnar is going to say, okay, this guy, if you're going to do the smell test, this guy is the guy. You're going to be saying, this is the fucking guy, because he doesn't look human. He looks like a roided up shark or something. He's
just a white guy who's ripped, Rob.
Yeah, he doesn't look real. Like, go back and look at him when he was 16. He doesn't look like a human being.
Yeah.
He looks like that I might watch Suicide Squad. Like, he looks like a meta-human.
Yeah. He looks like Harambe, that gorilla that got shot.
Yeah. He's huge, but like
a shaved Harambe.
Yeah, but like if you're gonna do that
with a dick on his chest,
if you're gonna test the likes of a Brock Lesnar, I think Carl's right. I think you should be looking for that test back before the fight happens. I really do. And again, if they did request it, there's a chance that it wasn't going to get back to them. But they didn't request it for like an extra.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing. So the conspiracy is, why didn't they request it? Were they instructed not to request it? So it's just it's an ongoing saga, isn't it? Especially with Mark Hunt. I'm sure Mark Hunt would be interested to know that as well, so.
Yeah. I don't even think that's a conspiracy theory, to be honest with you. I think it's just fucking common sense. How much money did they lose over John Jones getting popped? They needed another main event. There was no other main event on that card that would have been a proper main event. And I know Misha was pushed through. And then even people said that didn't feel like a main event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think they genuinely needed Brock on that card for a draw. I think they were worried about it. So yeah, I think that was a genuine thing of where they were like, we're not going to ask questions here, just get it done.
Yeah. But my one thing I take from this though as well is that it's been talked about USADA coming in and stuff like that, and it's good for the sport. It is good for the sport, but why aren't they doing that? If that's the idea, it all of a sudden brings the company, or they're supposed to be a company, aren't they? The company that's being brought in to basically sanction and make the sport safer should be doing everything they can to be making it. So it throws them into doubt as well now. Yeah. So it's not just the fighters that are being tested that he pissed hot. It shows the company who are running the test to be a little fucking off colour too. Do you know what I mean? So that's the thing I'd worry about as a fighter.
Yeah. This is a cum stain on that clean blanket. That's what that is, So, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Oh, you just took the words right out of my mouth with that, Carl. I was just about to say that's
exactly what Noah was going to say.
Yeah. Exactly, word for word. Yeah. But no, I just forget the whole Brock Lesnar side of it. I just do think this throws, it's a bad move from USADA. It throws themselves under the bus. Then fucking Nogueira will be over petting that bus. But no, I just think it doesn't make USADA look good. No. That are coming in to clean up the sport, and they're coming along, and you should be doing it. And especially, I know I just said forget Brock, but the fact that Brock was brought in to do what he was to do, and then they just go, no, actually we won't request it. It just smells wrong.
Yeah. And you never know. They could have just be could not be.
Yeah, they look at Rob as such a fucking, isn't he?
No, before we move on,
Too innocent.
I'm not. I have faith in humanity. I don't know what it is. I shouldn't, but I do.
You're a
No,
fool.
don't.
You're a fool.
Before we move on, did anyone watch the MMA beat this week?
Fucking Jesus. No. I'm sick of this. My hamster's just scared the fucking bollocks. My hamster's just there, it's just off screen here. My hamster's in his cage and I'm sitting here. And as I turn around and look, he's looking right at me standing on the phone. He's just scared the shit out of me. I wasn't expecting him to be there.
For the viewers, explain your setup right now.
My setup right now. I'm sat in my sitting room, and my phone, because my laptop is atrocious, is what I'm Google hanging out on. If you're looking at me, that big bright light on me is my plasma screen TV, which is hooked up, and it's falling again. It's hooked up to my laptop, which is showing me all the display stuff I need to see.
Very nice.
Yeah, and my laptop is sat on an ironing board. So yeah, hey.
High tech.
So fancy studio. I can't wait to get back into fucking studio.
Yeah, I can't wait. Before we move on, did anyone watch the MMA beat this week?
No, I missed it.
Well, they were talking about GSP, and you know the way Tyron Woodley wants that fight, and then there's reports that GSP possibly wants that fight.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on? They were talking about this. What's your thoughts on the UFC waiving that 4-month gap for GSP as well after all the shit that's happened with Brock?
I said it shouldn't have been waived for Brock. It shouldn't be waived for GSP. Simple as.
Well, USADA weren't around when GSP was there, so you could argue that that's unfair on GSP coming back if Brock got that treatment and they didn't.
It's a weird double-edged sword, isn't it?
It is, but I'm not going to be a hypocrite either. So.
See, this is a man with integrity. This is his favourite, historically Carl's favourite fighter, and he won't wave the flag.
No, he shouldn't. Yeah. He shouldn't get it. He shouldn't get it. Look at all this shit that's after happening with Brock.
But like in fairness to GSP, I think right up until like he's pushed for testing and stuff like that. So I don't think that I think that he'll turn around and happily do it because he basically gave up the sport under the premises of that. You know, everyone's on steroids, everyone's on drug. Yeah. But he basically because he wanted that testing. So I think GSP will turn up with a full bladder. He'll have his cock out and he'll be ready to piss in as many cups as you want him to.
That's a sight. I want to see that.
You want to see that?
I want to see that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I was accused last week, Carlo, of trying to make up for you not being on the show with some of my rants.
You want to see Noel? He got dirty. He got really fucking dirty. Yeah. It's like a fucking trip just switched.
Yeah. They were talking about Cub Swanson, and as you know, when I meet somebody and they're nice, I'm a big fan of them, you know what I mean? And Cub Swanson shouldn't have been so low down. My thing was, Carl, that basically Cub Swanson must have fucked Dana White's wife to be so low down on the card, basically. Or Joe Silva's wife.
Yeah, he screwed somebody. Yeah, he screwed somebody.
Carl, same process to me.
Yeah.
So let's move it on and tidy it up a bit. Holy God, there's definitely a big red E beside us on iTunes this week. New rules have come into MMA, voted in. So we spoke about it briefly that they were up for votes, basically. But it got voted in last week, early this week. Sort of running, it's Sunday today, whatever. So basically it got voted in at 48 states to 2, with 2 states not voting. So that's pretty much a landslide. So Rob's going to go through a few pinpoints of what these new rules are.
So we'll do it in kind of quick fire fashion because there's like 6 or 7.
Quick fire rule change.
Yeah. We won't actually have a buzzer, but we'll work it out between ourselves not to go too long. So there's a couple of things that are the main kind of changes. So the first one would be a change to the grounded fighter rule. So under the original rules, and I'm reading this from another Marker Monday fucking article, but under the original rules, fighters could place a single finger to touch the ground to establish themselves as a grounded opponent, thereby avoiding illegal kind of knees and kicks to the head. But now they have dubbed that as playing the game, which I think we all kind of agree with, and it's no longer viable. So now the fighter has to have both hands on the ground, either their palms or their fists, to be considered a grounded opponent. So you can't just put a couple of fingers down and then be considered a grounded opponent. So what do we think about that one?
Yeah, I think it's right. I think it's spot on.
Fist should be taken out. That's gamey. That's gamey. Fist
but it has to be both. It has to be both though.
Yeah, still think it. Well, it was both actually. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
You have your fist clenched to come up and dig someone in the face, so it's grand.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. No, I think it's a perfectly good rule. John McCarthy has always moaned about that rule for a long time, saying he hates when he sees fighters do it. It sort of makes the referee's job a bit easier. It actually happened last night in what fight was it? Morgliata gave out to somebody for, I can't remember what fight it was.
Cub Swanson. Happened with
Last
Cub.
night?
Cub last night. Through what would be considered an illegal knee. And then also Dan Mergliata, I believe, was refereeing a fight where there was an illegal knee was missed. I can't remember the fight.
But the thing about it, the thing about that is it's illegal now. But when these rules come into play, it wouldn't have been illegal because he had one hand down.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can't remember what fight it was, but there was definitely.
I think it's a perfectly good. Yeah, I think it's a perfectly good rule change. And if I'm right in saying, I think New York basically didn't implement it because they felt that encouraging people to knee on their ground is vicious, and they don't think it should be implemented. But like, fuck them, it took them years to fucking vote it in. It makes perfectly sense.
It was actually it was New Jersey Commission, not New York, so they were always around. Yeah, which is strange because New Jersey have been one of the ones that are kind of the most kind of forefront and pushing changes and stuff like that. So it's a bit weird. But I agree with that one because there's not many points where a fighter legitimately has a couple of fingers on the ground or one hand when they're not in the game.
You see it. They always do when they're on the cage, up against the cage, they'll put the hand down to be considered ground. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Exactly.
It's just fucking. Yeah, it's just silly. It was just silly. It slows down the whole fight. Like, if you're put in that position, you should be able to get out of that position without basically exploiting the rules. So, yeah.
The next one, big rule change or a big change in regulation or whatever you want to call it, is the extended fingers. So the whole eye poke thing has been a bit of an epidemic. In MMA, I wouldn't say epidemic, but there's been quite a lot of eye pokes. So this one is that you can't extend your fingers, and before the referee didn't really have any recourse to deduct the point or anything like that. They could only just say stop putting your fingers out. But now, if you're putting your fingers out constantly, and I suppose via eye poke, or even if you don't, or you're just constantly doing it and you don't stop doing it, then the referee is winning his rights to take a point. So what about that one?
This one for me is a little hard because even if you look at the fights last night, a lot of fighters' style was they'll put the hand out, and as you throw a jab, they parry it away. That's very hard to do if you're just doing that. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of them will have the hand, they'd slap and they'd come back with a follow-up, or they just bat it away. So this is a weird one. Now this has to be done because something has to be done with the eye poking. But this is a weird, like, for that reason. Like, it's not like I'm saying no, they should be allowed eye poke. You know what I mean? But it's just when you're standing in your stance. And like McGregor does it as well, but like, geez, my hand looks so big. Doesn't what I'm doing this way. But a lot of fighters stand with their hand.
I'm a bit afraid. It's too big.
And they just bat it away. Do you know what I mean? And they that's how they move. Fuck off, phone. So it's a tough one to implement because so many fighters fight with that style. So it's right to be done to try and stop the eye poking, but it's just it's weird from that standpoint where a fighter fights like that. It's are you gonna put your fingers away to duck a point because they're standing in their stance? So
yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. Change the glove. That's the problem.
See, the whole thing about changing the glove then is it's gonna affect your grappling. Like the amateur glove.
It was never a problem.
If you ever see an amateur, if you ever see an amateur glove, though, Carl, it curves. It has a curve on it. And that they say it's actually a little harder to hold certain moves. Yeah. It'll be interesting again. I know, but they have to design the glove, don't they, to do it?
Yeah, like even it doesn't even have to be big thick padding. You know what I mean? It could be just like a bit of leather over the top of the fingers that just extends from the glove. Doesn't have to be thick. Just basically to stop your fingers from doing this. So it just basically brings them together, and you still have your thumb, so you can still do that.
Yeah, I can't say a full explanation or interpretation of the rule itself. I do think it's more for the fighters like a John Jones who constantly extends their fingers out towards the opponent's face, not necessarily where they kind of just have their hands out.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what the actual explanation of it is, but I think it's more of the people who literally are extending them way out, like so.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that, see how it's.
Fuck John Jones.
I thought you were a fan now, man.
No, fucking me, let me down at UFC 200. Let me down.
Female apparel has changed. Don't get dirty, Carl. So The women must wear either a sports bra or a form-fitting rash guard, so that they can't wear like the loose t-shirts or anything like anymore. And then the bottoms have to be the same as men, either like the shorts to the knee or the like kind of Vale Tudor type of shorts. No more kind of. I don't think you can wear a onesie, can you? I don't think you can wear a onesie now. No.
Yeah, grand, whatever. I don't care. I just think the loose one, they were having a few malfunctions, so that's why they removed them. So yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, makes sense. So shorts wise, what's the crack with the shorts? Are they allowed to be like the loose shorts, or do they have to be the tight shorts?
Same as men. So the same type of shorts that men can wear. So
you can see them. There's like a board short, which the likes of just Johnny Hendricks would wear. There's the Val Tudor shorts, which are the tidy whiteys basically that the likes of McGregor and all them sort of wear. And then there's a sort of a tie style like Yara Rodriguez was wearing last night. That it's sort of slit up side where they wear the sort of cycling shorts underneath them. So same.
Do you think that rule maybe should have been adapted that men are allowed to wear rash guards?
No.
Do you not think so? For grappling?
No.
I don't know.
No, it gives you a little bit of an advantage if you're wearing a rash guard.
Yeah, that's why I think maybe it should be allowed.
Yeah.
No.
You know, maybe. Yeah, I think they should do away with gloves as well, but still, I don't know.
And they should dip their fucking hands in glue and glass before they go in.
No, that's silly. They should be allowed to throw fireballs or anything.
No, you're being silly now, but they should at least play fucking cards. Remember you smack cards off one another's knuckles before you get in. Right, go on, next up. We're getting silly now. Go.
We're not getting silly. Carl was asked for headbutts last time, remember that?
Headbutts should be allowed. I'm telling you, they should be allowed. It's an effective maneuver. Fuck your Cheryl.
So the next one is heel kicks to the kidneys. So apparently the last time we saw this technique was Hoist Gracie versus Ken Shamrock. So all other blows to the kidneys are legal, but heel kicks to the kidneys were banned. It's not any longer.
I didn't even know that. I'm guessing this is off the bottom, yeah?
Assume
so if somebody was in your guard, the heel kick coming down onto the kid on the back. I didn't even know that was illegal. I assumed that was because it was too close to the spine, so it was actually because of the kidneys. Alright, then fair enough. Yeah, fuck his kidneys up, like, you know.
Fuck his kidneys. So it's very similar to the liver shot, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, so. Like, it's not gonna happen all that much. Like, I still think it's stupid that whole fucking 12 to 6 elbow isn't allowed. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking stupid. But anyway.
Yeah, I suppose the more credential guy to talk about is Randy Couture. He was talking about MMA fighting. He said that the kidney strike with the heel is not an effective strike. He said it doesn't make sense for it to be illegal. We do not get hit in the kidneys. I can get on a shot. If you're trying to take an opponent down, you're perfectly free to hit me in the back all you want. It's not a legal blow. So obviously it's not an annoyance for him, or it's not a painful blow, or it shouldn't be illegal. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see a huge upturn in kidney shots from the bottom. But I suppose.
Your winner by kidney shot.
And then the other one is a strange one. It's grabbing the clavicle. So apparently a lot.
Now I've seen this. What the fuck is a clavicle?
Clavicle is like collarbone, isn't it? As far as I know.
In here. So what? You weren't allowed to do that before?
Yeah, no, you weren't allowed to do that. Let me just double check, because I'll be very embarrassed if it's not the collarbone.
Yeah.
Well, Irish, we don't use the word clavicle.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Collarbone.
Yeah.
But anyway,
whatever it is, it should be allowed.
Yeah, it is. It's collarbone. It's collarbone. Yeah. So
you
apparently
weren't allowed. Should be allowed to break it.
Yeah. Could be anything. You're just like, fuck it, just allow it.
Yeah.
I'll allow it. Hit him with a kidney shot and then break his clavicle bone. Perfect.
Yeah, so what do you think the reasons why they weren't allowed to grab the clavicle?
They were probably worried that like somebody would have like that fucking hand in underneath someone's collarbone and yank something fucking stupid. I'd say that harkens back to the days of like, you know, the 12 to 6 elbows are banned because they seen people breaking fucking blocks. Like, I'd say that's one of them old fucking, you know, voodoo cratty type things where like you grab his clavicle and you're able to fuck him off a cliff or something. Fucking shit.
Fuck him off a cliff.
Fuck him off a cliff.
That's
your fucking own fucking Colgan's fucking fight show rolling down a hill in a cage. Is that what you're fucking talking about?
No, that's the new regulation. They're bringing cliffs back. Bring Cliffs back to the UFC.
Yeah, Cliffs back, yeah.
Make the UFC great again.
Is that all the rules?
That's all the rules, and then of course we talked about a little bit ago about the judging, where it's a bit more clear on the whole 10-8 rounds and stuff. We talked about that, so we don't get into that. But yeah. I think most of the rules, I don't think we really disagree on any of those, really. To be fair.
No, they're sort of common sense things that it was like they were considered dangerous previously, and it's now proven that it's not, or you know what I mean. So it makes sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. These things will make sense when you're sitting around talking to one another, but you got to get old coffers in fucking grey suits and grey hairs and red noses agree to them, and that's the hard part about it, you know.
Yeah, I think there's some rules that could have been taken out completely as well, like the fact of 12 to 6 elbows. They probably could have addressed that. Knees on the ground, they could have addressed that. What else?
Headbutts.
Groin strikes. Get rid of them. Allow groin strikes. Headbutts.
Yeah, headbutts definitely. I think headbutts.
Yeah, pinching. You should be allowed pinch.
And tickle. Should be allowed tickle. Yeah.
Chinese borns.
Do you not think that?
Captain insane a Y poke.
Why should headbutts not be allowed? Why?
I think it's more of a you don't want to add more fucking head damage. I know it's punch to the head, but it's just weird head damage. Like, but then I think it's more of a
you're hitting someone with the hardest part of your body, like the skull.
So you should be allowed fucking use it.
I think it's more of a aesthetic thing. I think if you were on Fox and you're going, these lads are now headbutt each other. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, it looks more like it's not a sport. They're just hooligans. Do you know what I mean? Or thugs.
There is certain. It's like soccer kicks. You know, I used to love soccer kicks, but then you're like, ugh.
Soccer kicks shouldn't be allowed. That's soccer kicks are stomping now, but I definitely think potentially knees on the ground, with the exception of, I'd say, a north-south position. With the exception of there, because it's too fucking dangerous. Like, but I think headbutts should be allowed for sure. Like, for sure. I just
fucking great. Start your own promotion, Carl.
Yeah, with all my millions.
I think you'll get some people behind that, man. I think you really will. You know.
Yeah. Sure. Start it up, Carl. Start a Facebook page. Right. So, lads, next week is the next show that's basically up for UFC is UFC 202. So it's finally here. All the talk of, do we want the fight? What do we think of the fight? So next week we're going to be back in studio and we're going to be breaking down UFC 202. We've loads of fun things lined up for the show as well. So it's finally here. It's finally happened. So it's like Christmas in fucking August. It's fucking amazing. So look, we're going to wrap it up now this week anyway. So we'd like to thank MMAmix.com as always for sharing their stuff. Get on, check them out. They're a really good site. Obviously, because they're with obviously Fight Talk. The Whiskey Fair in Dunleary as well, like I said at the start of the show. If you want a good point, good field, sure, you might even catch the obviously Fight Talk lads in there as well. So pop in and say hello and tell them we sent you if we're not there. But gentlemen, always a pleasure, never a chore to speak with you about MMA, even though he's attacked me when I say I didn't enjoy a fight just because you two did.
It's because you're wrong now.
Yeah, that's all there is. Like, what can I say? When I'm right, and when you're right, you're wrong. So sure.
Yeah. So a good week for me and you this week with our picks actually. Rob, we went 5-1 this week.
Yeah, Carl went undefeated.
So, Carl went undefeated. I told you last week he will not make another selection because his percentage is 66.6.
Before we leave, we have to tell Carl. You have to tell people about your strategy playing video games against people.
If you lose and keep playing them till you win, and when you win, never play them again. Simple as.
He does that.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the online play.
They say you're only as good as your last fight, so that applies to online games too. So
I played FIFA online once, and I was sat here, and some bloke from London was mounting off, going, "I'm gonna fucking kill you at FIFA, Paddy." He kept calling me Paddy and all right, and he was real. You better be good at FIFA and all right. And I was really, who's this clown like? You know what I mean? We're playing FIFA like. You know what I mean? He was 2-0 up against me, right? And I'm going, the fucking bastard. You know, he's came back and beat him 3-2. But with like a minute to go in the game, he disconnected and all, threw the toys out of pram. So it's like fatality or whatever, flawless victory in Mortal Kombat. Yeah. But yeah, not for me. It's too weird. A 35-year-old man talking to more than likely kids online. I've watched too many How to Catch a Predator episodes to see what comes of that.
What a show!
See, my thing is like, if you have a child mouthing off, you say, if you keep talking, your mouth is wide, you'll know what'll go in it. That usually shuts them up.
Fucking Christ. I thought you were going to go with a mother reference thing there, as in I'll drop around to your mother, but no, you went paedophilic thoughts.
He's talking about a suitor, something to stop him talking, a gobstopper.
Yeah, there's Rob's innocence again, look.
Yeah.
So look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to getting back in.
It was a penis.
I'm looking forward to getting back in studio. We'll give out there's going to be plenty of stuff coming out from obviously Fight Talk, especially the week of 202, because we're pretty excited to see the King step back in there. So lads, always a pleasure, as I said, never a chore. So Dublin, once again, thanks for tuning. Listen to us on obviously Fight Talk on YouTube. Give us a follow on Twitter to get all our madness, because sometimes Carl has been in charge of the feed. So we're at talk_fight. We're on obviously Fight Talk on Facebook, Instagram, already said YouTube. So get in it, like and share, pass it on to your friends if you want to be sound. If you want to be a cunt, don't. But look, listen, thanks. Always a pleasure. Good night and safe home, Dublin. For some reason I rap with that one. So good night. Say your good night, lads.
Good night.
No.